Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Okay, terrific. There we go. I'll try not to talk directly into my shirt. But first of all, thank you everyone for coming. I know Thursday afternoon, everyone's had a long week, but I really appreciate you checking out the session. I think we're gonna have some really great content to share with you, some live demos, and of course, a really, really great customer coming up and talking about what they're doing here. So my name is Pete DiDerco. I'm a senior product marketing manager for the Microsoft Team product, and I focus primarily on the integration with Teams and Power Platform. So today, I wanted to talk about three things with you. First, I'll share a little bit about the value proposition and the impact that we really see and experience by integrating Microsoft Teams and Power Platform. I'll share just a couple slides with you. And then we'll get into some really impactful and cool stories from the Telstra team about the business challenges that they are solving with this integration of Teams and Power Platform, and actually some demos of real tools that they are using today. And then lastly, we'll share a little bit about the new and coming product features. A lot of these are based on feedback that we've received from largely this group and others. And then, of course, save a bit of time at the end for questions and answers. So hopefully that works for everyone. I promise we'll be light on slideware, but let's just go ahead and jump ahead. So I don't need to tell this group that that the modern workplace is under pressure. You're asked to do more. You have to spend more time doing routine tasks, and all this time there is this battle for your attention and focus. Now, this leaves you with really two options. One, you can just put your head down and keep working and charge ahead, or you can take the action to really streamline your business processes and workflows. And I'd personally advocate for the latter, but that's your choice, I suppose. And hopefully, by virtue of you joining this session, you are at least considering Microsoft Teams and Power Platform as part of that solution. So when you take Microsoft Power Platform of Power BI, Power Apps, and Power Automate, you're able to gather really rich data visualizations to draw insights from. You're able to build custom tools and apps without any sort of high code requirements or capabilities. And you're able to automate business processes using Power Automate. Now, all those tools in and of themselves are very powerful, ergo the Power Platform. But when you bring them into Teams, something really magical happens. You're able to automate those workflows directly in the context of chat. You're able to have conversations about data to really draw important insights. And you're able to put the custom apps and tools that you're building for your workforce directly where they're working. And this is a really big part of why we consider Microsoft Teams the hub for teamwork. Now, the Telstra team is going to come up and talk a little bit more about how they're actually using these tools in practice, but I want to put a little bit finer point on what these actually look like when you put them in the context of Teams. So I know that there are plenty of Teams users out there today, but just in case you're not familiar, Teams is a chat-based product that allows you to bring all of your collaboration, your conversations, meetings, calling, and of course, apps and workflows into one place. Power BI allows you to draw very great data visualizations. You can go ahead and pin reports directly to a channel where individuals are using, where it actually makes sense in context. Power Apps can be pinned directly to channels to be put in relevant context. And you can also actually take those Power Apps that you're building and pin them to your left rail as well. And of course, the flows that you're building using Power Automate can be used directly in the context of chat. So I can take actions like approvals directly in the context of a thread. So I don't even have to leave Teams and automate all these workflows. But what does this actually mean for your business? Well, the good or bad answer, I suppose, however you look at it, is it can be whatever you want it to be. So when you integrate Teams and Power Platform, you can do anything from enhancing your productivity scenarios, like building custom applications and tools that build upon your Office 365 platform, all the way up to solving very complex line of business challenges with advanced capabilities like artificial intelligence or an enterprise-grade database with a common data service. So with these tools and capabilities, you are really in the driver's seat to solve the problems that you have. Are there any IT administrators in the crowd? Thank you. So I've had quite a few conversations with admins this week, And I know how important it is that you're able to manage the tools that are being made available to your workforce. And so the Microsoft Teams Admin Center provides you with a lot of very great and granular control over these custom tools that are being brought into your environment. So with permissions, I can actually manage the apps that are made available to my organization that users are able to install, whether that's all apps, no apps, or anywhere in between on a very granular app-by-app basis. With setup policies, I can highlight the tools that I really want my organization to be working with on a regular basis by actually pinning them to the left rail. And I can also enable my end users to upload the custom apps that they're building. And of course, Microsoft Teams inherits all of the great security and compliance features that you would expect out of Microsoft 365. So I've done quite a bit of talking and shown you a couple of slides, and I promise that is the majority of slideware. But without further ado from me, I would love to welcome up my friends, Richard French and Nathan Backers, to talk a little about what Telstra is doing here, the business problems that they are solving, and actually show the tools that they're using in real time. So thank you.
Great. Thanks a lot, Pete. Can you guys all hear me okay? Is that all right? So first, I'll just introduce myself. My name is Richard French. I'm the Principal for Field Digitization at Telstra. Telstra is the largest telecoms company in Australia. I'm not actually from Australia, so I can just very quickly explain to you a little bit more about Telstra. But there are 18 million retail customers that we have, 4 million fixed line customers, a huge enterprise business base. And what this means for us then is that we've got a huge variety of customer segments. And as you can imagine, Australia, which is about the same geographical size as the USA, a huge spread of a workforce across that entire country as well. Also, the number one brand in Australia as well at the moment. So people will say the big T. If anybody's been to Australia, you'll have heard of Telstra. I'll admit as well, it was about 3 years into working at Telstra that I suddenly figured out that actually Telstra was originally Telecom Australia, and that's how they put the name together and came up with Telstra as well. So that was my little light bulb moment. So just coming on to the field services team at Telstra, some beautiful pictures there that Nathan got for us. Sydney Harbour Bridge, we've got a boat, we use helicopters, we have fires and disasters that we go to. But there's about 5,000 technicians at Telstra, half of them employees, half of them subcontractors, all with access to our systems. We do about 6 million tickets of work a year through that workforce, and like I said, a huge geography. So about a year and a half ago, we rolled out mobility to our workforce. We put in a new workforce management system. We gave them all Samsung tablets, Samsung phones as well, so they're all on an Android system. And we kind of thought, okay, we've started our digitization journey here. But one of the big challenges that we had was that we still had this proliferation of links and web forms and places for them to go. And it was just really a distraction that they had in all these different places that they could go to do things. That's why we were rolling out. Office 365 was also rolling out at Telstra. And we saw that Skype for Business was going. We were all very familiar with Office Communicator. And we saw Teams coming along. And we kind of, the initial reaction was, okay, Microsoft are replacing chat. They're replacing video conferencing. I'm happy with my 7 or 8 communicator chats all going at once. I feel like, things flashing at me on the screen is, I'm being productive, I'm working really fast. But what we noticed was that with Microsoft Teams and having mobility and having Intune that could push Teams out for us, we came up with a strategy where we knew we could push Teams out to all of our field users. We could go and set up a culture with our team leaders where suddenly, for us in the office, video chat was very kind of, it's part of our culture, we were very used to it, but for the field, it wasn't so much. They'd be on the phone, they'd be sending emails. It wasn't part of their daily culture to do video calls. So we pushed out Teams. And then we went and set up all the channels for the team leaders as well. So we went and took our Active Directory, we looked at our team leaders, we looked at the technicians in their groups, and we pushed out about 120, 150 channels for the team leaders. So suddenly they had their channel there, they had their team in their channel. We showed them how to run a huddle, and they do that about twice a week, get everybody together. But the real magic came for us, and the real light bulb moment came for us when suddenly we looked at these teams and these channels, but we actually then could see we had a place to put all of our apps and all of our links and everything together. And we also had a place we could put all our reporting together. And what we did was we set down 2 strategic platforms. One was called Team Leader Plus, and one was called Technician Plus. And this is where we put all those common apps that we built and created a place where we knew that things had been tested, and they'd gone out to users, we'd had the feedback, they had high quality. And then when we put them into Team Leader Plus or to Technician Plus, we kind of had a little bit of control as to what the field was getting. And that helped us to then go and shut down other apps that had been traditionally built by IT. A whole heap of web forms. Suddenly we could put all these web forms together, and really quickly you've got your Active Directory integration, so the web form knows who you are. You can put in your information to drop it down. We could create these experiences where our change management became go to Technician Plus. Go to this app that's in there for you, but then follow the bouncing ball. I don't have to write huge work instructions for you. So Nathan will come up and show you a little bit more of Technician Plus and probably Team Leader Plus and a little bit of our Power BI. But what I would say is it's a place now where we can put things like podcasts, our videos on there, our feedback loops, a whole heap of really useful apps for the guys, but also just to keep reinforcing them and putting kind of, simplify is what we're trying to do, and just put more and more into those into that framework that we've set down. So just to kind of summarize, it really has kind of helped us from a productivity point of view. It really is helping to make it that there's less distraction now, and it's much simpler for people to go to the same place. We run all of our meetings now on Teams, and it's fantastic to have execs to principals to technicians all there together chatting. We do a change forum every Monday. If I can't make it, it's actually recorded on the channel as well, and I can just jump in and have a quick watch of the video, which is absolutely brilliant. And then finally, it's kind of given us that ability to, Nathan will show you our fee for service app, but when a technician is out there, traditionally we would have a printed card that would tell the technician what they could sell out in the field. And imagine trying to then update those prices or get those cards back and send out the new ones. Having something like that just means that everybody's got the same price. We can push out changes very simply. And also then, when we're capturing damages or issues, we can integrate with the map and get all the geotagging, all that kind of information on our artifacts. So it's just been a really great way for us to scale across our entire field, keep everything unified and simplified. And Nathan will come and show you some of that for real. Thanks.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name's Nathan Backers, and I'm a product owner in the field digitisation team with Rich. But probably more relevant for this discussion is that I'm a citizen developer. So a little bit of background about myself. I started at Telstra around 10 years ago, and I was a trainee communications technician. It was more of a trades-focused role. I was responsible for maintaining and installing customer services, installing exchange equipment, working on our copper networks and our fibre networks, but nothing really in the IT or developer space at all. Around 18 months ago, one of the members of our senior leadership team come to me with a problem. I was in a secondment role then. The problem is that we needed some visibility around the issues and opportunities that are raised from our field services members. They weren't getting to the right audience. There was no visibility. There was no visibility of, or we didn't have any understanding of the impact or the scale of these issues. So I sort of had a look around at what options we had available in Telstra. We had a bit of success with Microsoft products before. We used InfoPath and SharePoint to be able to get visibility around our customer complaints, and we've seen them reduced by around 60%. So there was no sort of real formal, guidelines as to what digital solution we had to produce. It was just we needed a result and go for your life sort of thing. So we had Power Apps available in our enterprise suite. And for our team to use that in the field services team, there was no actual additional cost for us to use that, there was no real restrictions for anybody to be able to go in there and develop apps. So that was when we developed our very first Power App called Tide. And what Tide's done is it's provided that framework, which we've then extended to Team Leader Plus and Technician Plus, which Richard mentioned before, and really changed the way that our technicians work and created this whole digital ecosystem where we have our collaboration tools, we have our process compliance tools, we have all this functionality in the one place. And it's also helped to break down that misconception that only scalable digital tools can come from fully fledged IT developers. And that's probably the second most disappointing misconception I've heard since I've been here, the first being that all Australians drink Fosters. So I'll give you a little bit of a demo of Tide. So yeah, this is Tide in its essence. I'll show you a little demonstration of what it used to look like 18 months ago when we first rolled it out. So this is MVP1 of Tide. As you can see, it wasn't perfect. Didn't fit the screen properly. It's a bit rough around the edges, but that's the great thing with these products. You can develop a real simplistic MVP1 and then scale it up into a solution that really changes your business. So if I go through Tide now and I just go through some of the features, as you can see on this very first page, we highlight our top 5 open items, and that's dependent on whether it's in progress and how many people have put their hand up. So it's similar to a like. So 209 people from across the country have put their hand up to indicate that they too are experiencing this issue. And another thing, or another benefit that we've seen with the introduction of Tide is that once these issues are submitted, we filter them into our operational improvement teams using Power Automate. And that's been a real integral part of being able to drive the completion of these items and also closing them out and solving those process issues. And as Telstra transitions to an agile company at scale, it's been real handy to be able to capture user stories straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. So if I go in and have a look at some of the open items, this, we've tried to build a social media app in some regards, so I'll go into an item. But yeah, this is the view. We have pretty comprehensive filters where we can go down and filter on status, category, hands up, item owner, things like that. So we can get exactly what we need straight out of this view. We've also got an indicator here of how many hands up it's got, or we can also like it or put a hand up to indicate we too are experiencing that issue. We can view the last comment on that particular issue, or we can view a long history of all the comments from around the country. And what that's done is been real great to be able to get some understanding of the size and scale of the issue. So an issue might be submitted in Sydney and somebody in Perth on the other side of the country's experiencing the exact same issue. So we know it's just not a local issue, it's something that's impacting all technicians nationally. So if I go into an item, you can get some more granular details about the actual submission itself. So here it's just pretty basic information. We wanted to keep it as simple as possible for our technicians to input. We've got a lot of technicians of the older demographic, and typically they're a little bit less technically inclined. So we tried to keep it as simple as possible, only 5 fields that they need to fill out when they submit an item to Tide. And then from that point there, any user can come into the database and have a look at the issue, put their hand up to say, yep, I'm having that issue too. They can get the contact details of who submitted it and also their manager's details pulled from the Active Directory. They can follow the item to get any notifications through both Teams and email as the item progresses from in progress to closed, or if any comments are added also. You can view the comments, or anybody can come on here and add a comment to see, or attach a file as well, which is a great feature to be able to give some more collateral around the issue and some more traction. Managers and also operational improvement specialists can come into here and edit the item, so it can change it from in progress to closed. And anybody can come in here and share the item to their peers, so that also links in with our Active Directory, and you can engage a peer to say, hey, can you check out this item? So that's a little bit of a look at Tide, how it is now, but I guess where everything started to come together for us was when we developed a number of applications to solve several processes across field services, and we needed somewhere to put that where it was easy for a technician to access. So we gathered up all these applications and put them into 2 strategic power apps, as Rich mentioned, Technician Plus and Team Leader Plus. And we put those in newly created Teams channels, and I'll have a look at that right now. So this is our Teams channel, and if we come across here to the Technician Plus tab, you have a look at Technician Plus as it is now. So there's around 15 to 20 tools that our technicians use on a daily basis that are kept within Technician Plus, and they can come into here and click this information tab to get information around those tools and what their purpose is. And as Richard mentioned, it means we don't really need a great deal of change management, because we can pretty much, it's easy enough for us as developers to come in there and make it intuitive and add instructions within the actual app itself, that we can sort of guide people through the flow without having to send out, Word documents 3 and 4 pages long, or even 50 pages long, on how to use an app. So I want to demonstrate some of the functionality of Technician Plus. The first one I'll show is the FFS rate card, and it's not the acronym that everybody would be familiar with. It stands for Fee for Service, and that's an interactive catalogue of our products and services that we can offer our customer while we're on site. So pretty much the technician can give their tablet to the customer while they're on site, or a technician can just use this for an information, a record of information. But I'll come in and have a look at our Telstra TV3 product. So associated with the Telstra TV3 product, we have two items. We have the remote, or also the unit and the remote. So if we have a look at the unit and the remote, the technician can get some more information about the product features. They can see what the serial number is, so they can order some more in their van. They can view any product images if they like, to give the customers an understanding what the actual product's like without having to take one out of the box. Or if there's any associated videos, they can also go and view those videos as well. And so we plan on scaling this tool out to also include retail products and services, so things like mobile plans. And that's going to be real handy to try and drive upsell opportunities while the technician's in site. And we're going to link that in with our sales team. So our technicians can submit sales leads while they're on site. If a customer, might have a bit of a shabby phone, and we've got the latest phone, we might submit a sales lead, so then they can contact them after the fact. So if I go back to Technician Plus, the next piece of functionality I'd like to show you is called Sherlock. So what Sherlock is it's for submitting damage investigations for our network damages. So let's just say a private contractor or a customer's accidentally cut through a cable or a fibre cable or something like that. A technician will be engaged to go out on site and do an investigation. So I'll just go through the process flow, what that's like for a technician, and some of the cool functionality we have there. So if we come onto here and we start a new submission, it just gives the technician some information about who to call, and we can click these buttons to call those people from our mobile devices. Just whether we have a record, what our employee number is, that should all be automatically looked up. And then if we're at the current damage location, if we say that we're at the current damage location, what it will do is look up any submissions that we've had within a 5 kilometre radius, or depending on what you've nominated here, 200 metres, 1 kilometre, 2 kilometres, 5 kilometres. And then if it finds any records that have been submitted within that radius, it'll bring it up here. And that's been real good to really contain the amount of duplication that we've had in that space. So what we also have is integration with Bing Maps to be able to pinpoint exactly where our location is. We can also take some photos. Oh, that's not a great site. We can save the photos, and as you'll see there, once we take the photos, they're also geotagged with the information. So that's handy if it ever goes to a legal. If the customer ever wants to take legal action, we then have evidence to say, hey, we've taken the photo at this point in time. And that's very handy when we submit the record off to our legal teams. So we can also add our ticket of work times, how long we've spent on the ticket of work, which is also a part of what we recover in the cost. What the damage was, how we fixed it. And then any materials that we've used. So if we've come out there and we've used some jumper wire and we've used some connectors or something like that, we can search the items and then add them, and then we can also charge the customer or the person who's caused that damage at the end of the day. So once we've completed the record, we can then send off to our damage team, and we use Power Automate to integrate with a legacy system called Service Manager. And so it goes directly into a system now. There will be a record created in our Service Manager system, and then our damages team will pick that up and then drive the resolution with the customer or the person who caused the damage. So just to come back to Teams momentarily, so there's a few pieces of cool functionality that we've included in Technician Plus, but because of some of the traction that we're having with Technician Plus, we also created an application for our field leaders, and they're the managers of these technicians. So pretty much the same premise, a whole bunch of tools to help manage their day, their team, and also their performance, and we've put them into Team Leader Plus. So we have things on there like all of our communications are collected on here into Team Leader Plus. They can come and view our podcasts. So if there's once a month we have a guest for a podcast, which gets communicated out to our field workers. We have our team briefs, so any of the monthly team briefs that are out there, anybody can come and download them directly from their tablets. And also another cool one is we have some integration to be able to bring back PDF files into our application as well in our communication collection. So every Monday, once a week, we send out some communication collections, which are the most relevant comms for our field services workers. So we just click this button, and what happens is it goes and retrieves that document directly using Flow, and then we can search that document to pull out any piece of info that we want. And also, we wanted to keep Teams as a central place to make our team leaders also come in here and use it as a vital tool for their everyday processes. So we included Power BI as well. So you can just come into this tab, and the great thing about having Power BI on Teams is we can filter down and also gain some insights of some operational data here. Not only our existing operational legacy data, but also the data that we've produced using Technician Plus and Team Leader Plus as well. So thank you for seeing what we've done with these tools at Telstra. Thank you. Cheers.
All right. Well, thanks, Nathan. Really awesome to see what customers are doing with Teams and the Power Platform. I'm going to switch back over here. Great. So I'm Evan Shockey. I'm on the Power Platform team. So I'll tell you a little bit about what's coming. I'll show a demo. We'll do a quick slide, and then we'll jump right into the demo. But really from a Power Platform, Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI, we want to make it easy, just like you saw a minute ago. Let collaboration happen. Let your employees find where they need to find the tools to do their job very efficiently. So we have a few new things that we're shipping now that are coming very soon. One is really on the Power Platform side. We've just shipped away where you can easily take those apps that you've already built and bring them into Teams. So I'll show that. Also on the Power BI side, we're making it easier for you to pin your dashboards inline, to be able to communicate about your dashboards in chats. And then from a Power Automate standpoint, we're making it very easy for you to take your processes, make actions against those, and that way I can have my employees do the things they need to do without ever having to leave Teams. So let's see how all of this works. All right, let's get logged in here. Okay, so from a Power App standpoint, again, let's say I have an app that I've already made. Here's the app that I've made. It's an amazing app. I love it. My team loves it. So what I can do is I can bring that directly into Teams, and we make that really simple now. So I can go to my app, I can click on Add to Teams, and then we give you a dialog where you can walk through exactly what to do. So it says, great, all you need to do is download the app. I click Download, so I've already done that. So now if I switch back over to Teams, I can go to Apps on the left rail. I can say Browse Apps. I can upload this custom app, and now it's here. So when I'm ready to use it, all I need to do is click on it, and I can say Open, and it's going to pin to the left bar for me. I saw there's a lot of IT admins in here. If you have apps that are super useful for your whole company, you can do this for everyone that you have within your company and pin it to the left rail so everyone can start to use that app directly inside of Teams. One of the questions that we get a lot too is, well, that's great. So I've downloaded my app, I put it into Teams. What happens when I want to make changes? So really it's just a link. The link happens between Teams and Power Apps, where now you keep making revisions, you keep making updates to your apps, save them, publish them just like you do today, and that app is available everywhere, inside of Teams, on mobile devices, on the web. You just save and publish. So when I'm ready to use this one, again, all I do is I go in, I say Open, and now it's here. So now it's pinned on my left rail. I can pin it so it's always there, and off I go. So now I have my Power App embedded inside of Teams on the left rail. And again, just like Pete mentioned, if I pop over to Teams, I can do the same thing inside my channel. So I can go to Plus, pick Power Apps, and pin that, right? The other thing we've done is we've made it very easy to pin your Power BI dashboards. So if I go in here, I can click on Power BI. And now we made it just easier to discover. Before it was a little complicated. We heard a lot of feedback from you in the community. So we want to make that simple. We have our reports easily defined. I can see my workspaces. I can see my Power BI reports that are shared with me. So within a click, I can go in and pin this as a new tab if I want to. The other thing I can do is I have this amazing Power BI report that I've made, right? I can copy this link, and I can paste this directly back in, which I've already done a second ago. So now I can just paste in the link. It's going to bring up this card, and now I can start to chat with my teammates and say, you know what, let's say, Alan, you need to see this, right? So now we can start talking about this right away. He can see that. It's in my chat window. It's contextual to what we're doing, right? So again, we're bringing the power of the things that you use today all into one spot. The last piece that we have is if I jump over to Flow, let's go ahead and I will also pin Flow on the side here. Let's see. Here we go. Flow. Great. So go ahead and open Flow. So within Teams, I'll just pin this so I can use it later on when I'm ready. I can go in, and now I have a flow that every time someone gets added to my particular group, right? So I've added someone to Teams. I want to make sure that all of my other teammates know about it. So I've created this flow, and really all it does is it listens for someone being added to my team, and then what I've done is just post a basic message that just welcomes them to the operations team. So now what I do is I can jump back over to my team, and we'll just add someone to the team real fast. So we'll just add a member. So we'll add, let's see here, maybe Bruno. We'll add Bruno to the team. So Bruno's added to the team. My flow is going to automatically run as soon as Bruno comes in, and then off I go. So great, I've done that. And now my flow will run in the background, and I'll be able to see welcome messages like these to welcome Bruno. So not only Bruno feels welcome, but also the rest of my teammates know what's going on. So imagine that's great for Bruno, right? That's a very basic scenario. Imagine all the power that you can use with Power Automate to do all types of other things based on people coming in or out of your groups. All right? So what I'm going to do is switch over for one last demo. So in this particular demo, what we want to do is show custom actions. So what I've done is I've created a flow here, and my flow, let's get it started here. Oop. Let's go back, here we go. Great. So I've created a flow, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to post a message back. And really what I want to happen is I want my employees to be able, from my Teams chat, to say, look, I have a problem. I want to put in some help desk ticket. I want that to automatically go and send to DevOps. So what I can do is I can go to Actions. I can pull that custom action up that I've just created within Flow. And now I can have any team member go in, post that they have a critical item, right? So they're going to go ahead and do that. And then that gets automatically submitted when I switch over to Azure DevOps, and I can see that same item they just posted. So now I can get real-time feedback about my apps, about my business process, about whatever makes the most sense, directly from in Teams, out to the right kind of sources. And again, with the power of Power Automate, you can really use this for whatever you'd like, right? So that's some of the new features that are coming for the Power Platform inside of Teams. So I'll turn it back over to Pete.
Thanks, Evan. Okay, so we've gone through kind of a whirlwind tour of Teams and Power Platform. You've seen some great tools that Telstra is using. I think the one thing I'll point out is, what Nathan showed is very sophisticated, very useful, very powerful, but it's been a bit of a journey for them. So they did not start with what you just saw on day one. It's a bit of a process, and so there are a number of things you can go to get started on. If you're not using Teams already, please go ahead, learn about Teams, start using some projects in Teams, and then take those tools that you're building outside of Teams and start integrating them into Teams as well. So think about what scenarios you would want to automate, what sort of custom tools would really empower your workforce, and start putting those into Teams to really make it the hub for teamwork. And of course, we have a number of resources that I'd point you towards if you have any questions, including a brand new Teams and Power Apps white paper that was published today. So some really great stuff, all the way from just kind of kicking the tires and getting started, up to building really powerful and impressive workflows. So with that, I know we wanted to leave a bit of time for questions. And so I think happy to field anything from anyone, from me or the rest of the group members. But thank you all for your time, and if you can please come up to the microphones, that'd be super helpful just to make sure that we can capture all those questions. So thank you.
Just real quick question for you. What was the data store you used for the Tide app when you first started developing it?
So the most economically viable solution for our team was to use SharePoint, because basically we could utilize SharePoint without having to pay anything in our CapEx budget.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
As it grew, did you stay in SharePoint, or has it grown into a SQL database or something like that?
No, we're still in SharePoint at the moment. So some applications, we have about 90,000 records in SharePoint. That creates a little bit of a challenge and a little bit of trickiness about how we do our formulas within some of the apps that we build. They all have to be delegated back to our data source. So we haven't really had anything there that we haven't been able to do yet. We just need to, be a little bit tricky from our perspective.
Fantastic. That was awesome.
Power BI stuff. If you're not a licensed user of Power BI, what's your experience going to be like if you're in a team that's presenting that?
Yeah. So that's a great question. Part of the experience you saw is the sharing element of Power BI, which does require an additional license capability. So like either part of an E5 license or part of the Power BI standalone licenses.
So if somebody doesn't have that license, it's just going to error for them or something?
It'll view up as not viewable. Yeah.
Okay. And then one other question on the pinning the stuff. Can any user pin something to their team?
Yeah, so that's a great question. There's really kind of two pinning experiences to the left rail. One is the admin capabilities of just putting that on the left rail for everyone in the organization or whoever's in that policy. And then the second one, which is coming just in a few weeks, very, very shortly, is going to be I, as an individual user, can customize my left rail that only looks that way for me. And so it would not, like if I pin one of the custom maps to the left rail, it's not going to appear that way for everyone else.
So it doesn't matter. As long as you have access to the app, you can pin it to your own team rail.
Correct. Yep.
So do you guys run all of your flows from a service account or from individual users' accounts, or how have you grown flow out from an individual person to an enterprise app?
Yeah, so there's a few flows there that it depends on what the app and what the purpose is, but some of them are individual flows, some of them are team flows, so it really depends on what the use in the app is, but some of them we trigger from SharePoint itself and not our Power Apps interface, so depending on what the app is, but we've sort of got all bases covered there with how we use Power Automate.
Step of like online, offline Power Apps. Like I know when I first started doing it a couple of years ago, they had a way that you could cache the data and upload it. Has that changed significantly? It's a lot easier to do.
Yeah, so there's a couple of applications that we have. That network's damage one that I displayed that has offline functionality. We have a couple of other ones which are more around process compliance, capturing issues and things like that, which we require offline functionality because, as you can imagine, Australia's a pretty vast country, so we've got a lot of places that don't have reception. So yeah, we've found that it's actually pretty good. We only just recently developed an app probably about 2 weeks ago that had one of the requirements was it had to have offline functionality. So yeah, we do cache the data in an online offline scenario, and yeah, we haven't had too many dramas with it, to be perfectly honest.
So has that process been simplified now? I know when it first came out, it was kind of...
Yeah, no, it's pretty simple. Pretty much, you basically have a standard formula, I guess, inside the app, which is called whether you're connected or not connected. Whether you're connected, then we pull the data back. Sorry, if you're not connected, you pull the data or the cached record back. If you are connected, then you can go throughout, and we have a timer, which is just set every 30 seconds or so to keep capturing that data and caching it, just in case halfway through the record they happen to drop out. And that's been real handy, not even for those tools that are that we are using in remote locations, just the tools that might have a lot of manually inputted information, and nobody wants to have to go and input all that information again if for whatever reason it clunks out or they have to take a phone call or something like that. So yeah, we've incorporated that into about half a dozen apps now, that offline functionality. It seems to work quite well, and it's really not too hard for our team, especially if you've already got those collections in your app somewhere. It's just a matter of copying and paste it from one place into the cached record.
Thank you.
Just one question. What's the time frame for the new features?
So it varies. Is there one in particular that you had a question about? Yeah, so if we just go back. So creating a Teams app using Power Apps live today as of last week, I think Friday. User pinning the apps to the left rail will be coming in the next few weeks. The enhanced Power BI tab adding feature will be by the end of the year. The interactive Power BI card and chat will be coming sometime in 2020. The trigger for when someone joins or leaves the team is available today as well. And then the triggering custom actions from within Teams, like the trouble ticket video that we saw, will be coming probably early 2020. Just trying to make the experience as kind of seamless and user-friendly as possible. So it won't look exactly like the flow process that we saw. It'll be even more intuitive and easier. That's kind of the main delay in rolling that out. Okay, well, thank you everyone for joining. Happy to spend the next couple minutes here if there are any one-off questions, but thank you again. Appreciate it.